what if civilization restarted series? Well, we're here for expansion in an area we haven't really looked at. That sounds Eurocentric. No offense, but it does, kinda. As they expand to the north, as they want to occupy similar areas, and they invade to the north, they didn't realize how small the army was in this country, and this country falls really fast. But they're not done their expansion spree. As they move into this desert nation, yes, they're taking over the desert. With this nation unable to hold back the front, they also collapse. But there's going to be some resistance as they move to get better lands. They decide to invade this pink nation, and they are forming a Saharan green empire, apparently. That green looks like another green. And also, it's probably not called the Sahara. I didn't come up with names or stuff. That's not great. This color seems like a good color for an empire. And then this purple nation expands to the south. Well, they quickly overrun a nation. With a few nations in the south, this nation, that nation, and this nation deciding to unite together, which leads to them all being stronger. Along the coast, there's not much expansionism. Except this nation decides to take over that one. Well, that's all for this area, so let's go to another area. Because it can't all be in one area. Well, it can, but shouldn't be. With all of this declaring their own country. As they don't like being occupied. Well, that makes sense, with only the Orange Nation still having some amount of colony. And they still aren't leaving anytime soon. And well, these two nations are there. The nations here aren't really doing much. No, that doesn't make sense. The Orange Nation, decides to take back some of its once lands by invading this nation. Which they thought they would be the only one wanting anything out of this. But they were wrong. As the nation that they're invading gets ready for counterattacks, well, yeah. This nation joins. With it turning into, well, this nation isn't winning. That's what it turns into. With this nation, the Orange Nation, quickly managing to get to the coast to move down to about where the capital is. And then they encircle it. It's over here. And they quickly take it over. Now they're basically considering surrender at this point. And well, the Purple Nation invades, and with this nation having lost its empire and deciding, well, that's it. And well, now to sign a peace treaty for them. Let's see the peace treaty in this series. Well, one of these nations changes. I actually like that color at this point for an empire. As they invade over here, bringing back this once empire. I think there's an empire here at some point in this series before they were taken over. Well, they quickly take the advantage, move down to the south. And quickly they take advantage of this advantage and they move down to the south. Take nation. This nation here decides to join them, and so does this nation here, believing it will benefit them. And well, with that now as its empire, What will it do with this empire? Who knows? But what I know is it's an empire. With these two nations having disputes on these lands, but this nation here decides to expand over here as a way to get lands, so what they can do is now invade their enemy. They invade through the north first to start with, as they open a full-on front over here against this nation, quickly advancing to here. And then the northern front opens up, quickly advancing, with them having breakthrough after breakthrough. Well, they take over the area. And they annex it all, as they have formed an empire over here, capable to compete against this empire here. Well, this nation ends up at war with that nation. Well, they think the Red Nation won't be able to resist them, as quickly they advance, forming a front line. And well, they advance really far. They advance all the way to here. And then they continue their advance. So they thought they would get further than this, as they weren't having any resistance. And well, they break through, pushing them back, as the Red Nation manages to advance all the way to here. And then they get pushed back a bit. And well, then they launch their offensive over here, through the southern area. They even cross the border a little, before they use that advantage to launch a small offensive here, leading to this area having to retreat. And they advance a bit more along this front as they start another front over here, with a goal to conquer all this land. And well, they end up taking land here, and it becomes this area collapsing. Another offensive by the Green Nation is made, but this one fails, as soon they realize collapse is inevitable if they don't stop. And they meet for a peace treaty to give up those lands, but then after they decide to create a border dispute, as they claim all this area. But not long after this claim, they declare themselves, not with this color, that's not a great one, as they decide to form a yellow nation. They turn themselves yellow after a revolution. And well, that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!